What's up guys, Sean from TreeTanksDev. Welcome to a new video, and today we're taking a look at two Nikon cameras, both of which were launched in 2020, one in January, which is Nikon's latest and last DSLR launch, the Nikon D780. And this is known as what Nikon calls as an advanced DSLR. Really big, heavy, chunky body, really robust design. And with this lens, Tamron 50-30 makes it look even bigger and even much more heavier than it already is body only. And on the other hand, a nice small compact mirrorless camera, the Nikon Z6II. This is one of my favorite cameras that I've ever used, and yeah, really nice, very lightweight as well, and the performance of the whole camera is just really sweet. Both of these cameras, like I said, both launched in 2020, advanced DSLR, and this is what they call as a pro mirrorless camera. So let's take a look at the overall design of the two cameras. First of all, both of them have LCD screens on top. On the top here, as you can see, is a lot bigger than the Z6II. In terms of the body on the back, you can see the difference in the size. Basically a really huge difference. This comes in at 840 grams and this is only 705 grams, so that's a lot of difference. So let's go through the similarities of these two first. First of all, both of them are using a 25 megapixels full frame backside illuminated CMOS sensor. But of course, this Nikon Z6II is more advanced, having dual X-Speed 6 processors, whereby the Nikon D780 only has a single X-Speed 6 processor, same as the Nikon Z6. ISO for both 100 to 51,200, both weather sealed, that's really nice. Both have 3.2-inch tilt-up LCD screens. Both use the same batteries, the EN15B and the 15C, so that's really nice. The 15C is of course a newer version with a bigger battery life. If you are considering, you can check out my links below and use my affiliate links to buy those EN15C batteries. Gives you a lot more battery life. Alright, so next up, the most obvious thing besides the size of these two cameras, this Nikon Z6II is using the new Nikon Z mount, whereas the D780 is using the F mount. Video specs, this can shoot up to 4K 60 frames per second with its latest firmware update back in February 2021. This can only go up to 4K 30 frames per second. This has an electronic viewfinder of 3.69 million dots, so it's an electric viewfinder. On the other hand, the D780 only has an optical viewfinder, which I don't really like, but to each his own. And the Nikon Z6II has 5-axis in-body stabilization, and it's really good for shooting video with its great ergonomics, not too heavy, great ergonomics. So with the 5-axis stabilization, you can easily get some nice video shots, some stable video shots. This is a little bit too heavy, a little bit too bulky, and plus there's no 5-axis in-body stabilization. But this Tamron 15-30 has image stabilization, or OIS, in the lens. So if you are considering to buy the Nikon D780, make sure you get a lens with OIS. And last of all, in terms of burst continuous, this Nikon Z6II can shoot 14 frames per second, whereby the D780 can only shoot up to 7 frames per second. So yeah, quite a lot of differences between the mirrorless and the DSLR. One thing that I didn't mention is that the menu is the same for both cameras, the Z6II and the D780 having the same exact menu. So basically what I want to check out in today's test is what's the difference in the autofocusing between the D780 and the Z6II, because you know Nikon has been promoting and improving somehow the autofocusing, the face and eye detect on the Z6II. So I just want to test out what's the difference. I'm going to push the autofocus speed and sensitivity all the way to the max for both of them, and then we're going to check out both, comparing the two autofocus systems. And also I want to see the similarity, or if there's any difference when using the flat color profile and when shooting in automatic mode. So let's go. Alright, Alright, so we're filming on the Nikon D780 with the Tamron 15-30 f2.8, and I'm shooting at 24 millimeters right now because on the Nikon Z6II I'm using the Nikon Z24 millimeters lens. Of course, this is a wider aperture at f1.8 and the Tamron is only an f2.8. So later on when we test it out, I'm going to set this to f2.8 to be fair as well in terms of basically the brightness and the exposure. But how does it look? This is in automatic mode, 4K 30 frames per second. Fastest autofocusing speed and sensitivity. Is it any good? Of course, this D70 is not using a native lens as compared to this, but just to see how much of a difference, if any, between the two, because this D70 seems to be doing particularly well in terms of the autofocusing, as I was testing out yesterday. And how's this lens performance? This is a $1,000 lens with optical image stabilization or vibration compensation, and Tamron terms hopefully is good. This is this is the G1 model. Alright, so we're gonna swap over to flat color profile now and see how nice the colors are in comparison to the Z6II's flat color profile. Okay, so flat color profile, 4K 30 frames per second. Aperture priority f2.8. How does it look? I can see the box on my face. There is face detect, which is pretty fast. I can see it's tracking my face really well. But how's the colors? I just want to show you, maybe give you some vibrant colors or something like that. This is black, so not really very vibrant. How about my blanket over here? The Toy Story blanket. I guess it's quite colorful. You can see all the different colors like yellow and red and blue and green and stuff. How does it look? Alright, so 5 more seconds autofocusing test. I don't want to bore you out, and then we'll swap over to the Nikon Z6II right now. Okay, so eye detect, as you can see on the screen. Oh no, you can't see on the screen, but yep, it is using the eye detect, and this is using face detect. So eye detect is something new that was introduced only into the Nikon Z6II and the Nikon Z6VII. I mean the Nikon Z7 II. Automatic mode, 4K 30 frames per second. How does it look? How's the autofocusing? Got it up. Fastest sensitivity and speed as well, using the Nikon Z24mm f1.8s lens. I really love this lens, but I kind of hope that they have a Nikon Z28mm for me for shooting video. That would be the perfect sweet spot. Like on this just now in the beginning of the video, I was filming on the A7S III with this 28mm f2 lens, which is only like $500, but it's really nice. Focal range plus f2, just nice. I hope they come up with this. So how does it look? How's the autofocusing? Okay. Alright, so right now we're gonna swap over to 4K 30 in flat color profile. Okay, so flat color profile, 4K 30 frames per second, and how does it look? I can see the eye detect working again. Is it any good? And then after this, I'm gonna put these two clips together and see if there's any difference using the flat color profile on this older Nikon camera and the new Nikon camera, or did they actually improve the color science on the Nikon Z6II as well. How does it look? It looks really nice to me. I'm at f2.8. I bumped it up to match that Tamron f2.8. How's the colors? How's the blue and the greens of this Toy Story blanket? And how is the exposure stepping? Okay, so last 5 seconds autofocusing test, and then we'll just take some photographs in low light and see how it is in photographs and video. So 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So let's check it out right now. Alright guys, so we're back on the Sony a7S III with the Sony 28mm f2 lens. And in conclusion, which would I recommend? Of course, would be the Nikon Z6II. It's newer, it has dual XP6 processor, so it's much faster. It's using the Nikon Z lens, which is pretty good lenses as well. And you also have the option to buy the FTZ adapter and throw on the Nikon F lenses, so you got more variety of lenses available, Z and the F lenses. This has 5-axis in-body stabilization. The electronic viewfinder is very, very good on this camera. It's much lighter, it's much compact, it's easy to carry around, it's easy to maneuver if you're shooting video, and especially with that stabilization available. And one thing I really like is the 4K 60 available on this with its added animal and human eye autofocus. So that's really good, all for just an extra $100, guys. So it doesn't matter if you're a videographer or photographer, I would still recommend the Z6II over that Pro DSLR. There's so many more advantages, and definitely there will be more new firmware updates coming up to help to improve the whole camera, where I think this would be the last of all Nikon DSLRs that you ever see. So I don't think there'll be much firmware support coming up from Nikon to actually help improve this camera. There are too many pros video-wise and photography-wise on this Z6II, all for just $100 to consider over the Nikon D780. So thanks guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hit the subscribe button, like button, and the notifications button, and I'll see you in the next one.